All right, this is going to be part number 3 of the best upgrades for the Ruger LCP II in 22LR. All right, so we're going to quickly just verify the magazine is clear, which it is. Move it to the side. Gun is clear and safe to handle. We're going to be going over the MCARBO upgrades of the trigger spring kit from MCARBO. Okay, so we have these 3 pieces right here. We got the firing pin spring, the trigger spring, and the hammer spring. We're going to be going over all of these, how to do them and swap them out. Okay, so this will be probably the trickiest one out of all 3 of the videos, but just follow along and you should be good to go. Okay, so first things first, we verified that it's clear and safe to handle. There's nothing in the chamber. Gun's all good. We're going to take this down with a takedown pin, so just bring that slide back a hair, just like that. Pop out. Pin right there. We're going to move that to the side. All right, we're going to split this up. So we are going to start with the slide itself first. Okay, so let's just move the lower out of the way for now so we can stay focused. Make some space for you. Get rid of the recoil spring and the guide rod. Move that over there. Take the barrel out. Move that over there. All right. So we are left with the upper slide here, okay? So to access the firing pin, let's see here, we're gonna use, it's gonna be this area right in here. You can see when you depress your finger here, this thing, we're gonna be taking this out so we can access the spring, which is inside this part of the barrel. All right, so to do that, we're gonna knock out right here with the 3/32 hole pin punch. So just grab your bench block or your roll of tape, whatever you've got, and we're gonna hammer that out right there. All right, so this is what the roll pin looks like, just like that. All right, set that to the side. And you'll see over here it popped out right there, so you can just gently knock that out, and what comes out here is the firing pin spring, the stock, and the firing pin here with the notch in it right there. Okay, so this is how we're going to do it. All we have to do is swap these 2 firing pins. So just grab your one from MCARBO. We'll have a look at the stock one and the one from MCARBO. This is the stock and this is MCARBO. You can see the MCARBO is a lot springier. It's a little lighter. It's going to be better for your trigger pulls and everything. So yeah, we'll just put the stock inside a bag. You always want to keep hold of your spare parts. All right, and then it's just simply a matter of we're going to tuck the firing pin spring in here first, just in the hole right up there where it came out from before. Drop that in there. All right, and then what we're going to do is we need to make sure that when we tuck this in here, the hole here, I'm going to bring the hole pin punch and I'm going to stick it in there. So as you can see, I've got the hole pin punch in here. All right, now don't be alarmed if it's like at a slight angle. It's not going to be completely straight. It's actually it's at a little angle here. Okay, it goes through like that at a slight angle, but we want this little notch right here to be lined up with the hole, and when we put the little roll pin punch back in here, it needs to be like that. When we push this in, it's going to be like that. All right, so that's what we want to do. So get your hole pin out. We're going to slide this in, and I would use little tweezers or whatever you've got just to nudge it in there. And again, we're trying to keep that U-notch facing up, and then line that up with the hole here that you're gonna put the hole pin punch through, okay? Okay, so once it's there, it seems to be lined up, what we're gonna do is we're gonna put that hole pin punch in from the bottom. We're gonna move this around, and we're gonna try to get it through. So I like to hold it. I'll hold it down here in place, and then once it's in place, I'll put the hole pin punch through it. There we go. And you can see here, you've got it through, it's in the hole, it's holding the hole pin punch in place, and you can verify with something else, make sure, push it in and out, make sure that it's working, which it is. And now all you've got to do from here is you want to put in your little roll pin punch here that you knocked out from this side, okay, with the little ejector bit there. You want to come in from this side. There's two sides. The one side has it looks like a small hole with a 3/32 pick, fits perfectly in right there. Well, it says LCP II. And on the other side, the hole is slightly larger. That's the one you want to put this roll pin punch in from, okay? So what I would do, keeping your hole pin punch in there, you want to just put the roll pin punch on the other side and push it into place. Try to get it seated in there while holding the hole pin punch, so it keeps your firing pin held in place as well. All right, so I'll just give it like a tap, try to get it started. All right, and then from here, once it's in some of the way, you don't have to worry about it falling out. You can remove the pin, your 3/32 hole pin punch. All right, once you've got here, you just want to grab a 1/8 hole pin punch, and we're going to finish it off, because the 1/8 will allow it to keep going down until you hear like a dud. Once you hear a dud like that, it means you've gone down all the way, and that's seated in there now. All right, so we're just going to verify real quick that it still works, that when we depress it, it works, and you can see it's coming out there on the other side. Let's get a better view of that. There you go, see that moving right there? Perfect. And that's how you change the firing pin spring. All right, so once that's done, let's just put back together our barrel here so we can have this set up for later. All right, so that is the upper slide completely finished. So we're gonna move that to the side, and that is up there with our takedown lever. So all we have left is the trigger spring and the hammer spring, okay? So this is where it gets a little more complicated. So we're gonna bring our lower over here. First things first, we are going to remove that hammer spring cover, this right here. So just grab a 3/32 or 1/16 hole pin punch, pop out that back right there. It'll come up like that. Then you can just pull it right off. All right. And then from here, we're gonna have to take off the hammer spring. I like to use a hook always. I really strongly recommend using a hook. You wanna hook up through the back end and underneath the bar and underneath the spring, just like that. All right. And use your thumb. So when you pull up and twist, it'll fall out like that. Then you can just adjust it and let it fall out. There we go. So there's the little bar right there with the little notches in it. We're gonna move that to the side. Keep everything nice and organized. We got the cover, hammer spring cover, the little bar. And from the last video, just remember, make sure that the hammer spring here is at an angle like this. We don't want it up here because it'll get caught in something when we try to pull it out, okay? And it's down there on the side, has verified, so that's good. Next, we are going to knock out the rear pin and the front pin. Do not worry about this third pin, just the rear and the front. So we're gonna knock that out with a 1/8 hole pin punch. So let's do that right now. All right, so here they are. Remember, the rear has that little notch in the middle and the front is smooth all the way around. So let's move those up into the side as well. Got everything nice and organized. All right, now we are going to pop out the housing. So to do that, just double check the hammer spring is on its side like an angle like this, which it is. That's good. We're gonna pop out the housing. So grab your flathead and come up to the serial number right here. We're gonna bring that in and just pop that out just like that. Now remember, keeping pressure, light pressure on the housing on this little metal piece here, the blue spring here, your ejector, slide release, and the safety cover. We're gonna put our fingers covering up all those areas. We're gonna push up and we're gonna bring this all out, all right? So we don't need to do anything with this rest of this lower, so let's just move that to the side and out of the way. So all we've got is the housing right here, okay? That's how it's gonna be. Now there's a few things to point out. We do wanna make sure that the upgraded hammer spring, see those hooks? They're curled this way. They're both curled and facing to the left, which means they're facing the rear of the firearm, okay? We need to make sure that when we reinstall the new one, it's facing this way and not facing this way. It's gotta be this way, all right? So just getting that clarification out of the way, we'll move this back out. And it's smart to take off all the pieces on the front and the back side here, okay? So this is gonna be the right side that we're looking at now. I'll keep bringing this back just for the layout purposes. So the right, which is this, we're going to be taking this out. So if you just move the bottom here, that's going to come out of play and flip just like that. All right, so let's move this right there. And let's try to take this little piece off with a bit of tweezers or whatever you've got. Just pick those up like that and move that to the side. So that's everything for the right side. Now let's bring it over to the left side, which is this side of the gun, all right? We're gonna you can bring out this little blue spring with your fingers and your nails really easily. So we'll bring that down. Then you can pick up the slide lock, slide release, bring that to the side. And that's everything there. Oh yeah, you can take off the safety cover too. Mine is just a cover. If you'll have the actual switch, so move that off as well. So on the side we have all the stuff here. This is the right side, this is the left side. It's all nice and organized. We've got all the parts there. So what we're going to do now, we're gonna do, let's see here. Let's get the hammer spring out of the way. So just grab your 1/8 hole pin punch and we're gonna push this pin right here. We're gonna push that out, all right? So on this side, I don't think it really matters what side, but I always push it out on this side where there's a spring right there, okay? We're just gonna push this out, all right? So that's the pin that goes with the hammer spring. I'm actually gonna keep this separate on the right side just so I don't get confused with parts. So everything we're popping out of the housing now, I'm gonna kind of try to put on the right, just keep it separate from that side. Now once you pop that out, the hammer spring will come out nice and easy, okay? This metal piece up here will kind of jiggle around. Just try to keep that in place. That will adjust itself once we put this back in. So for now, let's just put this housing down here and we've got the hammer spring right here, okay? Now we have to remember that this goes in like that. All right, and see right now the springs are actually facing this way because the gun is technically turned this way. All right, those springs, those hooks are always facing the back end, whichever way the back end is. Okay, and right now the back end is to the right. So when we pull this down, we need to make sure that when we put the new hook in here, it's going to be looking just like this. All right, that's all we got to figure out. That's all we got to do. Make sure that's done, then that's fine. Now, it's kind of hard to knock this pin out. I've seen quite a few people opt to just slightly bend this little hook end. It's quite malleable right there. So this bit of metal right there. All right, so once you've managed to bend it back a little bit, that way you can just remember we're going to be putting the new one in. Make sure it's going to be going in like that. All right, so with bearing that in mind, right before you take it out, we're going to rotate it, push it, bring it out there. It should come out just like that. All right, move that to the side. Put it. We've got to bend this back a little bit first. I forgot about that. Bend this back a little bit first as well. So we will get under there. Just give it a little bend. I like to go little bits at a time, and then I keep retrying. That way you don't overbend the metal. There we go. See, we're nice and in there. And then once you've got that in there, just kind of, we're going to try to crimp that back and bend it back down into place with whatever you have. I'm going to bend it down with just a flat head. There we go. Perfect. Now, once you've got that, bring back your housing. Make sure this metal piece here is fit in. We're going to push that hammer bar, bring that back up. Okay. Make sure the hammer bar is sticking out the top there. Line up the hole. Line up the back. And keep everything in line. All right. And then we're just going to put that back in the hole. That pin that we had from before. There we go. We've got that all in place now. So we'll just verify that it moves up and down, which it does. They're both facing to the rear, which is on this case the right, and that's all good. All right, perfect. Now we are going to we just have the trigger spring left to swap out. So you're gonna have to get access to that. You got to knock out that pin down there, the trigger pin, which is this area right down here. And before we can knock that out, we got to take off the safety blade on the trigger. All right, so I would recommend using a bench block, getting a 1/16 punch, and you're going to do this by hand. So you want to kind of position your trigger somewhere safe on your bench block, and with your hand you're gonna slowly push through. Because you want to be very gentle here with the trigger, because the last thing you want to do is damage your trigger. All right, so it's not coming through that way, so let me try this way, and I'll try on this side. There we go. See, I just pushed through right there, and it's sticking out on the other side. I think I pushed that all the way through. Let's have a look. Yep, here it is. So you've got the trigger roll pin right there. So put that right there to the side. Be very careful with that. Now, we have to take note. if we're on the side with the trigger spring sticking out, you can see here that the trigger blade, the safety blade, is oriented this way. Okay, so you can see the bit that is more flat, see the top is more flat, the bottom has that little bump underneath the hole right here. The flat bit is going to go back in this way just like that, and it's going to line up with the hole, and that little bump is going to be towards the bottom of the trigger. The more flat bit part here, all right, that's going to be at the top. So we're going to place that trigger safety next to the pin there, and we're going to carefully, with some tweezers, whatever you have, we're going to grab that safety spring and bring that out too. And by this point we can knock out the trigger pin. So to do that, you come down here. Now we have access. We're going to use, let's see here, a 3/32 hole pin punch, and that little metal part down there, right there, we're going to knock that out. So bring that up here, find a good little space, get that situated, and we're going to tap this out. Alright, once that's tapped out, you'll see we made it through the hole pin punch right there. Okay, this is what the trigger pin looks like there. Move that to the side. Now here we are, the final stages of the trigger spring. You'll have a look down here. When you pull this out, the hole, the circle, needs to be parallel with the housing like this, because when we put this in just like this, just like that, it's gonna be coming in the hole. Let's get a more light down there. You have to make sure that it's pressed in all the way, because if it's only out halfway, then the pin can't get in. So if you push that in all the way, the circle will line up with the hole there, and then you can verify with your 3/32 and make sure it can come through. If it comes through, then it's gonna stay in there, it's not gonna come out. See? But if you didn't get it all the way through, say it wasn't pushed in all the way and it was like that, and then you try to put something in, it gets caught on the spring. Okay? So just make sure that's pushed in all the way. Now, once you've got that, you can take out the stock, move that to the side with the other stock parts. We're gonna grab the new one here, and we're gonna place it in. To press that in all the way so all the holes line up. All right. Once that's pushed in all the way, this is what we're gonna do. We're going to bring our 3/32 in from the bottom, and we're gonna put it in there and put it all the way to hold it in place. Make sure it's not coming out, which it isn't. Now from here, we need to tap back in the trigger spring. So you can see on the left side it's a little fatter and it has that cap there. That needs to be on the top there. So what we're going to do is very gently we're gonna, let's see, I'm gonna push this in. I'm going to drop that in place with some tweezers. This is the tricky part. There we go. Once you've got that seated in there, give it a nice push. and push it through. There we go. So that's been pushed into place. Verify it's not coming loose, which it isn't. And then with your 3/32 on this side, just give it a nice push and make sure you pushed it in all the way. There you go, you hear a nice click. That's fully seated and that's locked in place. All right, so all that's left now, we are going to, all right, so to get the trigger back together, once you've got that in place there and pop that in place on the top, we're left with the trigger here. We're going to put the safety blade back in. So grab your pair of tweezers and your the little spring part here that was in there before. Now I've got a little bit of synthetic grease. If you've got some, you can put some on the end there. That way when you pop it in the hole on the bottom under there, see that hole right there? You can put it into place and it'll easily just stick onto there so it doesn't go running away. All right. Now, once we've got that in there, we're going to put the trigger blade in there. So let's get a good view. So from this side, I'm holding it like this. See the two holes? You want those, the hole here in the middle, and then the little circle shape there. That's going to be to the right side. So don't have it like this, where that little engraved hole circle is on the left. You want to have it just like that. All right, so once you got it like that and you got your spring in place, pop that in there. Now it can sit in perfectly just like that. So what I do is, you can see when you look down the hole, it's covered up, but when you push it in, the hole opens. See that? So just hold it back to keep that hole open like this. And this is where you want to be extra careful. You're gonna grab with tweezers or whatever you have that inner outer trigger pin, and you're gonna be very, very careful. You can try to do it with your fingers or whatever you have, but just try to get it in the hole of the trigger and kind of push it down a little bit to get it seated so it's held in place. Once you have this, give it 1 or 2 little taps just to get it in there. Make sure you keep it in line. There you go. Now once it's pushed down, you want to make sure it's fully seated. So just kind of rest it on the edge of the table or your bench block, whatever you have, because it's not going to be totally flat. You can see how it moves like that. You want to bring it down so that this edge of the trigger is actually on the bottom. So push it down like this and hold it in place while keeping this trigger blade pushed in. Then you want to grab your 1/16 punch, and you're just going to make sure this is fully seated in. So just slightly push in. Okay, so you see it here. I pushed it through the other side, so you pushed too much. So we're going to come to the other side, and we're going to push this back in. And you can see it's going back on either side now. So find that point. There you go. So it's flush on here and it's flush on here. And then once that's done, just play around with the trigger blade. Make sure it's operating properly and functioning, which it is. We're all good to go. And just a little tip here. When you're doing this, do not hold with your finger on the other side when you're trying to push this in and out, because you'll need quite a bit of force. And once that happens, it'll come through and the trigger blade will come out and it can get you pretty bad. I actually nicked my finger and had to take a week off because I prodded a hole in there. So make sure when you're doing this, you keep it rested up on a nice safe position and you're not having any fingers on the other side. Otherwise you'll learn harder like me. So so once we've got that in place, we can begin the full reassembly. All right, so let's see here. We're gonna do the right side first. So let's grab this piece right here and we're gonna put it on here. You can see the circle here. It needs to go on this little black circle there, and then that clips onto the bottom, so it moves like this. All right, it's gonna be just like that. Now once that is there, I like to put in this little piece, just like that. So you can see it moves up and down. That just goes in there like a puzzle piece. Now you want to hold carefully, hold it in place, and up to the top, hold that little metal piece too. And then from here, this new trigger return spring is nice and light. You should be able to just bring it down with your finger and lock it in place with your fingernail. If you can't do that, just use tweezers or whatever else small little tool you have, but it's honestly really easy to do that. So that's the right side done. So we're flipping to the left side now. Remember to keep that pressure. Be careful, because this other piece that we just did can fly off. So just keep an eye on that. All right, that's in. Keep a finger there, and always keep it close to the table, so if it falls, you're not going to lose it. If you have it, now would be a good idea to have a magnetic, some sort of tray. That way, if anything does fall out, it's going to fall in here. It's not going to fall, and you're going to lose it in your carpet. All right. So moving on to the left side. See, it just did that. Just fell out. We'll put that in at the end. On the left side, you want to grab this piece right here. I'm going to lock that in. That's the slide lock, slide release. We're going to put in the blue part in the back, and then using your fingers, you can just push that all into place. There we go. So that's in place now. And then your slide, not your slide, sorry, your safety cover, safety switch, whichever one you have, you're going to put that in there as well. All right, so that's all put back together now. So make sure this little piece is in here before you proceed, if it keeps falling out on you. All right, now once we have that all put back together, we are going to angle it. All right, and we're gonna drop it in place, holding everything in place. Make sure that doesn't fall out. I can keep my finger over that. Get a little flathead or anything you can to pry this back end, so we can get the safety cover in down like that. There we go. And then from here, grab a 1/8 or 3/32, whatever hole pin punch you got. And remember, we'll get this bit here. We're gonna hit that. See that back end, back right, stainless steel. We're gonna push that while keeping pressure over the top here. And you're gonna hear a click, and it's gonna move all that back in. All right, so that's all seated. Make sure that's all good. That's there, that's there. Safety cover's there. This little pin, little metal piece is still there. We are perfect, we are good to go. And then from then, you need to hold this in position. We're gonna put the little bar back over the top. Grab your hook. Grab the new hammer spring. It'll be nice and a little bit lighter. It'll be easy to pull up and over. And then once it's over in place, grab a hole pin punch or whatever and push it over onto that little raised circle bit. There's two of them. You want it on this left side here, the one that's on the side of the mag release. So the mag release is on the left, therefore we want the hook to be on that left lip. So just move it over to hear a ping. There you go. Then that's in place. Then grab your hammer seat cover, clip that over the top, just like that. And then from here, we can pop in back the pins here. So remember, the rear has that indent in the middle, and then the front one is totally smooth all the way around. I'll pop that one in, and just want to make sure it's flush on both sides. Once that is done, you're going to bring over your upper slide that's already been put back together, line that up over the top, move it back slightly. You're going to push in the takedown pin by pushing down and back in. So just down and in. Push that in so it clicks into place. Verify it's clicked. And then there we go. That is everything finally finished. Pop that magazine in there. And we're going to do a quick functions test. Slide lock works. Slide release works. Magazine release works. And we're going to do the trigger pull. Works. We're going to check the reset. Works. Perfect. So that is how you reassemble everything back together and put it all back in place. And that's how you get the all those new upgrades done. The firing pin, the hammer spring, and the trigger spring. All right. So let's quickly have a test of what the new average is of about like 5 pulls or something. So I've got a digital gauge right here, and we're going to use this just to test the pounds per inches force. All right, so we've got it on, it's on 0, it's got the average, the magazine is in here. We are going to do a few tests to see what it's at. Okay, that broke at 4 pounds 6 ounces. £4 pound 1 ounces. £4 pound 10. Alright, so after 10 pulls, we've got an average of 4 pounds and almost 7 ounces, so 4 pounds 7 ounces. So yeah, under 5 pounds, and that's straight away from having it replaced and these brand new parts. So after we break it in, it should get to around 4 pounds hopefully. So that's a really nice difference in terms of just quality right there. So the trigger's going to be nicer. Hopefully this deals with the light primer strikes, the failure to ejects and feeds and all that kind of stuff. So now this is finally done. Next video I'm going to take this to the range doing 10 different types of ammunition, and we're seeing which are the best types of ammunitions we can have. So hopefully somebody found this video helpful, and you were able to follow along with it and swap out the parts. It's honestly not that hard. Just take your time, go slow, and everything should be good. And till the next video, guys, stay armed, stay locked and loaded, and above all else, stay armed with truth, knowledge, and wisdom. Till the next video, guys, peace.